Hello and welcome to TMK Film. This morning we're working with the Quinault tribal fishers on the Chehalis River. My job, identify, locate, and remove derelict gear on the AM side of the low tides. Nothing nicer than watching the sun rise up over the Chehalis River through these pilings. And this is a job getting in amongst these pilings, identifying with this type of equipment the location, so that when we bring our team in, we know exactly with pinpoint accuracy where this derelict gear is lying on the seafloor. This morning, with these GPS coordinates, we're following along the Aberdeen Bridge, headed over to a group of pilings because we know there's a net in there. Well, as we got closer, there was a bird caught in part of that netting, and the location is just to the west of the bridge. So I was able to cut this poor bird free, and I think he's going to be okay. These pilings, you know, over time tend to rot, and you need new pilings. Well, on this particular river system is the piling machine, and these logs that are all stacked up at the mill, some of them one day probably will be in the habitat of the Northwest. But in our adventure, we want to know the density level of these logs. Now, we do have a concern here. One is I can penetrate into the log up to 4 inches with these centimeters. But that does not necessarily tell you the strength of the piling, because it could be hollow inside. But we're working on a centimeter scale, and we're using special filters. Now, if you look at this piece of paper here, you see just these red lines. That tells me the size of the fish or sea anemones or the depth of the wood that I'm penetrating into, and it tells me with extreme accuracy. Now, if I get the measurement out again and show you with my little ruler here and pointer, you can see how it all sizes up, and we're really accurate when taking samples, poking into pilings to see of density. And you know, the neat thing about it is with these cameras, I'm able to look for worms. They have 2 little antennas on them, and they're amongst all of these shells, and the untrained eye probably wouldn't spot them. But me looking at these pilings as many times as I have, I can actually spot the worms, these 2 little antennas, and I know that that log is probably pretty hollow inside, especially the way that these worms hollow them out. Carol, dead seabirds, a rotting skull of an otter, 340 pounds removed from the habitat. Before I let you go, Cosmos and the YouTube have been working together pretty good. We got 50,000 some views. He's got quite a following of individuals watching old Cosmos in the habitat here. We're going to take you now into 60 feet of water and look at the gooey ducks, the density level. How many gooey ducks are in 1 meter at that depth? And we've been studying that. The other thing that we've been doing is Cosmos now is going to take you out into depths over 300 feet. And if you look at the filter on the screen, you can see how big things are. Okay, until next time, Carol, be safe out on the water and always wear your life jacket. And one day, Cosmos and you and I will get out on the boat. Bye-bye. Doc here.
Yeah, Doc, this is Mel. I'm over Aurora now, heading north along the coast. I thought I'd give you a call.
Oh, fantastic. I'm moving that way. I was just wondering, can you fly a little bit low today for me?
Yeah, I'll come in a little lower than normal.
Okay, fantastic, because I got those new filters on the cameras, And hopefully with the way the water clarity is and the tide the way it's looking, we should be really getting some great eelgrass, because that's my concern. And with these filters, we can fly over them. How fast are you going to be able to travel today, do you think, airspeed-wise?
Well, I'll probably be doing about 160.
Okay, no, that'll be fine, because with these filters, I'll be able to pick out where the eelgrass beds are. And also, if they're a blue color, that means there's a lot of pollutants in there. So I'm really excited to see how that footage turns out, Mel. Be careful up there. I'm just about ready to head out under the bridge, and good luck. And if you get a chance, would you swing up to Blake Island for me?
Yeah, I sure will. I'll head up towards Blake after I pass over there.
Well, I've gotten some reports that in that marina there, they have some invasive species possibly, and I was just wanting to know just how crowded it was and how it looked.
Okay, fine. We'll try that.
Okay, hey, thanks, Mel.
Okay, fine. Thanks,
okay,
Doc.
bye.
Bye-bye.
Wow. See, the seafloor right now, we're in close to shore and it's shallow, and we're studying the eelgrass, looking at the root system. It's amazing what you can see with these cameras. Hello, everyone. I'm Dale Doc Temke, the owner and operator of TMK Film Research, or as I like to call it, TFR. Over the years, I've worked with the State of Washington Department of Fish and Wildlife, Department of Natural Resources, even the invasive species section of the state. We've come together on a joint venture, and it's been mandated by the Washington State Department of Fish and Wildlife, as well as the Governor's Office, the Department of Biology with the University of Washington, and lately the Quinault Tribal Fisheries Nation has really stepped up and sponsored us. We were able to get into a river system and remove 1,800 pounds of derelict nets with dead sturgeon in them many times. Wow. Removal team safety is always concern one, especially when you're around these nets. That's why we use no divers. You see, the cameras fly on their own, searching, then attaching themselves to the debris or ghost net or derelict gear that's lying on the seafloor. Then we bring it to the surface for safe disposal. Yeah. Now the insurance, labor, equipment, and the total project costs are much lower, adding cost-saving cuts for the project. The cameras have no bottom time with little risk of liability. You know, it would take the work of 6 commercial divers, each having bottom time of 80 minutes to match one TFR robotically puppeteered removal system. August 2013, the project was completed. We removed 1,800 pounds of ghost net bundles out of the waters of the Northwest. Currently, the top goals, objective activities, and strategies with phases are organized to achieve a healthy, diverse, sustainable, that's right, sustainable fish and wildlife populations in their surrounding and supporting habitats. That's important. You know, we want to locate, identify, and remove derelict gear, pernicious debris, including invasive species, and study the dissolved oxygen problem in the dead zones in this 22,000 miles of shoreline waterways in the Northwest, fresh and saltwater estuaries. They're all flowing into the Sound. These dangerous barriers have been blocking the migration path of chinook, coho, chum, salmon species, as well as all other migrating marine life. TFR estimates that a minimum of 5 years researching the knowing gill netting grounds, along with other commercial and recreational water activities, is required to complete this phase 1. Phase 2, the removal project, these go into 3 of phase 4, the restoration process, and then phase 5, education. Monitoring the beach, getting people involved. The 5x5 projects are ongoing with the other federal and state tribal fisheries. Boy, it's pretty out here today. All right? Thank you for taking a minute and watching this, and hopefully we'll be in contact.